Welcome to Front Office Pros. Joe, you know what time it is. It's the championship round. We're here to give you 8 boom players that you're going to want to put in your starting lineups to get that championship.
Hike!
My first boom player I'm going to go with is running back Ty Chandler. I know he had a rough game this past week against the Detroit Lions, only had the 8 carries. But the Lions, that's one thing that they've been good at. They have a beatable secondary, but they've been strong against the run. Just the week before against Cincinnati, he had bulk of the workload. I know Alexander Madison was back this past week, but, Kevin O'Connell in this Vikings offense know that Ty Chandler is the more explosive player, and they're willing to give him the touches. So I'm not really worried about, Madison potentially, and they got a really juicy matchup against the Green Bay Packers this week. It's a, pretty big game in division battle, battling out for the playoffs as well. And, the Packers, they are in the bottom part of the league as far as their run defense. So I think that Ty Chandler gets it done and has a big game this week.
Matchups are very important. You have to look at what they are. I'm with you. It's a great matchup for Ty Chandler. Packers have been a defense that you can target all year long. So my first boom player for week 17 is going to be wide receiver Stefon Diggs going up against the New England Patriots. Diggs has been under 35 receiving yards in 4 of the last 6 games. And under new offensive coordinator Joe Brady, he's only had 1 touchdown, and the highest amount of catches he's had in a game is 6. So you might be saying, why would you play him in the championship? This is a recent trend that would tell you that you should bench him. But I'm here to tell you that you need to start your studs. Joe, we talk about this all the time. When you get to your championship game, especially when so much is on the line. To me, I'm not someone who wants to be kicking myself in the event that Diggs goes off, which, if you look at history, he has shown that he is able to do that against the New England Patriots. Since being traded to the Buffalo Bills in the 2020 season, he averages, this is over 7 matchup against the Patriots. He's averaged 10 targets, 6.5 catches, 89.5 yards, and a touchdown. So for me, Diggs is a guy you either drafted early or have had him on your dynasty rosters for a long time. This is the championship week. I think it would be a mistake to overthink this and to bench him because he has done pretty well against the New England Patriots.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I saw that this was one of your boom players. I was pretty interested that you had him on the list. Patriots definitely isn't the best matchup. Their defense has been stingy lately, and Bill Belichick seems to always be able to take the team's best weapon away. But you got some stats there. We'll see what happens. I definitely think it could be risky to expect the boom from him.
So do you bench him?
I think it'd be tough to bench him. But, I mean, maybe if I had somebody with a better matchup, possibly. Next boom player, Steve, I'm going to go with running back DeAndre Swift. He's coming off a game. He had 20 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown against the New York Giants. And he gets to face, one of the worst run defenses in football this week with the Arizona Cardinals. Another home game, expecting Philly to win pretty big and potentially grind things out in the end and just be able to run the ball a lot. So I like Swift to really boom for your championship matchup here.
Wait, the guy who's considered hot trash?
Yes, the guy that Dustin Lutke would say is hot trash or hot garbage, however he would go with that. Yes, because he, in fact, with the Eagles and behind this offensive line, when he's had a good matchup, he's executed and not been hot garbage.
So my next boom player, which really is a boomer bust guy, is wide receiver Rashid Shaheed going up at Tampa Bay. Shaheed averages 15.6 yards per catch, which is on the higher side for wide receivers. He's a deep ball specialist, and now he plays the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a matchup I've been targeting all year. They're the 29th best matchup for receivers. They've allowed an average of 23.7 fantasy points per game. Chris Olave recently spoke about how in order for him to play, he really had to gear up for it because his ankle injury has really been nagging him. And as a result, even if he does play against Tampa Bay, I think he could have some limited snaps. So with that being said, I believe the Saints are going to have to air it out. Bucks have been hot of late. I think this is going to be possibly a shootout if they're going to win this game. So my dart throw is going to be Shaheed.
Yeah, I like it. The matchup is definitely there. Saw it against the Rams. It happened, that long, deep touchdown, and like you said, that's what he's been special at. And when he gets it, he'll have a boom week for you. I'm not quite as concerned with the Chris Olave stuff necessarily as you, and I think Olave actually being on the field helps Shaheed and allows him the focus to be on Olave and allow Shaheed to get over the top. So maybe if nothing else, Olave could be a decoy. But I think both of those guys, Olave and Shaheed, are going to have good games against the Buccaneers because it's tough to run against them. Their secondary is bad, and like you said, if the Saints want to move the ball and stay in this game, they're going to have to throw it.
So are you enjoying this video so far? Well, if you are, show your support to our new channel by hitting the subscribe button and liking this video. We'll be creating videos all NFL season long, so you're not going to want to miss what we have in store.
Next boom player, I'm going to go with wide receiver Rashee Rice. Look, this is the only guy at this point that Patrick Mahomes can possibly trust and rely on. Kansas City offense has been tough sledding. It's been rough for them to be able to move the ball. I'm not sure if Pacheco is going to be in this game or not. He's battling concussion protocol. But I like Rashee Rice matchup with the Cincinnati Bengals. Their secondary has been susceptible, allowing big games to several different wide receivers this year. Addison was able to have a great game with Nick Mullins at quarterback against them. So looking for Rashee Rice to have a breakout game, boom game against the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if Travis Kelce is ever going to show up. He definitely seems to have at least taken a step back, or maybe is he distracted, Joe? I mean, he's got a lot going on in his personal life. Is he just not focused on ball?
I don't know, because it's just wild the splits early, man. Where when as long as Taylor was in the house, he was balling out. But I don't know what's going on there. I just think I don't know if it's just too easy for teams to take him away, or if he's really just battling through injuries at this point, and at his older age, if he's really lost a step or not. Definitely begs the question, because this is just not the version of Travis Kelce that we've been seeing, but it's also a bad version of this Kansas City Chiefs offense where just haven't seen this lackluster amount of weapons and them to struggle the ball as much as they have recently.
Well, remember, he did have what could have been considered a significant injury before the start of the season. People were very worried about him and kind of faded him as a result. Still has been good, one of the top tight ends, but not Travis Kelce good, or what we've been accustomed to seeing from him based on his most recent performances these past few years.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been one of the more shocking things.
So my next boom player for championship week is going to be quarterback Matthew Stafford at the New York Giants. No quarterback has been hotter over the past month than Matthew Stafford. He's fourth in passing yards with 1,159 yards. He's tied for first with 10 touchdowns, and he's thrown 0 interceptions. The Giants have been decent against the quarterback, so it's not the best matchup. They've only allowed around 17.5 fantasy points per game. But there are some difficult matchups on the slate this week for your top quarterbacks. And with all the injuries that have happened with the quarterback position, I think Stafford's a solid play, and he'll definitely be a QB1 this week.
Yeah, I definitely like it. We just saw, Jalen Hurts have a good game against the Saints-Giants secondary. And I like Puka and Cooper Kupp in this matchup as well. So my final boom player, I should really say players. I got a couple of different guys depending on what happens here. If Ryan Tannehill is going to play, if Will Levis misses again, Tannehill starts. I really like Chigoziem Okonkwo this week. Gets to face the Texans, who's 29th against tight ends. We just saw him come off a game where he had 6 targets, caught all 6 for 63 yards and a touchdown. Tannehill at quarterback. That's why I made that exception. If Will Levis does in fact play, though, I'd flip over. And at the tight end position, I really like Trey McBride this week. Gets the Philadelphia Eagles defense, who's 21st against the tight end position, but they're secondary, and they're at the bottom in terms of secondary and how they rank against quarterbacks and wide receivers. So they're definitely beatable through the air. Expect the Arizona Cardinals to be coming from behind, and we've seen before Kyler Murray likes to target and utilize Trey McBride.
Does it change anything for you that Derrick Henry was the player who threw the touchdown to Chigoziem Okonkwo?
Not really. I mean, it's just one of those trick plays. But even if he didn't get the touchdown, I mean, he had a pretty solid game. Where I mean, Will Levis just hasn't been targeting him. I mean, his previous high was 5 targets against the Dolphins. So the fact that Tannehill seemed to look his way and gave him 6 targets, well, I guess 5. One of those was Henry for that touchdown, but I don't know. I just have more confidence that he's actually looking at Okonkwo and utilize his skill set.
So my last boom player, and Joe, I'm going to try this again, all right? We're going to go with Derrick Henry at Houston. I was shocked at the last time that the Titans faced the Houston Texans. I thought Henry was going to be a boom play, a lot because of what he's done against the Houston Texans. He's had a huge history against them. Talked about this a few weeks ago. Last year, in his 2 games, he had 55 carries, 345 rushing yards, and 3 touchdowns. 2021, he didn't play him. And then 2020, he had 56 carries for 462 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. So, based on his history, we said, okay, hey, it's the Houston matchup. Here we go. This is going to be juicy. And he had 16 attempts for 9 rushing yards with 4 targets and 4 catches and 1 receiving yard. I can't imagine it being any worse for Derrick Henry. I was absolutely floored. I'd be floored if that happened again. So I would not be afraid of what happened the last time. And you got to play him. He's a guy you drafted early. I know he had that, kind of not so good game against the Texans. He kind of got back on track this past week. So for me, you got to play Derrick Henry. I think he should boom, right? I mean, it's just fantasy football, right? I mean, you try to look at the matchups, you look at the history, you look at whatever stats you want to look at to help inform you to make the best decision. And everything statistically would tell you that this is a great matchup for Derrick Henry. Will it be? Who knows? But you got to go with what makes the most sense. And he's a stud. And to me, I'd rather lose with something like that happening, which is a farce in my view, then everything looks the way it should, and he ends up booming and you win your matchup.
Yeah, I certainly hope you're right, Steve. In the championship in the sleeper league, and I got Derrick Henry. Certainly helped me this week to make it there with a 25-point week. Hopefully he'll go ahead and do that again. I was a little nervous with this Texans. You weren't alone. I mean, the whole fantasy community was just looking at the track record he had against the Texans, expecting the big game the last time, and just didn't happen. Hopefully, everything he rights the ship. He looked really good on Sunday. Hopefully, he continues to play with that. He kind of looked more like the Derrick Henry of old that we're used to seeing versus just sometimes this year he just hasn't looked the same.
And that's the tough thing. He's an older running back. I want to say he's like 29 maybe. He's a different type of running back. He's a bruiser. He does have some surprisingly good acceleration. All of a sudden, if he catches some steam, he does pretty good. But it's one of those things where it's like he's already talked about he's probably not going to come back with the Titans. They already have Ty Spears, which I think they probably would get another complimentary back. I don't think it's just going to be Spears. But where does Henry go? How productive is he going to be going forward? Will someone give him the load that the Titans have given him over all these years? So I don't know. His future is very cloudy at this point.
Yeah, it is. But, if you're in a redraft league, you don't have to worry about that. And hopefully he booms this week and leads you to a championship.
That's right, Joe. And those are all our boom players heading into championship week. If you have any questions about who you want to start or sit, if you're going to ask any question, this is the week to do it. So go ahead and put a question below. We're here to help you win your matchups. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week to talk about what we learned in the 2023 season. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.